Hi YouTube world, welcome back to my channel. I have nearly a full face on, but I got a brand new eyeshadow palette from Colourpop and I just want to play. I just want to play with it. So I will list everything I'm wearing on my face complexion wise down below, but can we just play with this guy, Troublemaker? I surprised myself by purchasing this, but when I really studied the color story, oh, I just realized I had to have it. I had to have it. So I'll include swatches of all the shades in indirect sunlight on my arm, and I'll include it at the end of this video. But I just thought, let's create a look or two. Should I do one of those things with the two eye looks? Maybe we'll do that because I feel like there's a lot of fun that you can have with the purples, but there's also grays, but there's also this weird taupe, peach, silver. There's a lot happening, and I just really like the color story. I really did. So the other day that Colourpop was having a sale, I said, you know what? I'm gonna pick this up. I really like the look of it. And I haven't felt that way about Colourpop in a while. A lot of their releases haven't called to me, but this one did. I'm not gonna put any eyeshadow primer because I'm just playing. The other palette I picked up with this one was the C3PO palette. Again, surprised me that I was even interested in it. I'm not a Star Wars person, but I saw some looks created with it, and I love the idea of just having like a very gold leaning palette in my collection that's small and just easy to go to visually, knowing like if I want gold. But I haven't played with it yet, so I don't know if it's like any good. So to be determined, But for right now, let's just play with this one. Part of me feels like starting with this, and I have no idea why. This shade is called 0Fs. Oh, okay. Troublemaker. So that shade is really interesting. It has like, it's like a dusty plummy color, but it has some gray in it. So it's almost like the color that could bridge a bit of the gap with this. But it's also kind of like very neutral. I feel like it's a very safe color. I feel like this is a very Bobbi Brown color because I think it's immensely flattering. I think it's like a good smoky eye color that isn't black. So nice to have like this kind of sophisticated color in there. Let's darken it up. Shall I attempt this? Shall I try to go gray with this? Or will it clash? Well, we're about to find out. I'm expecting some fallout because I'm packing it on my eye. I'm not really tapping off the excess. So I'm just putting that gray right there. Obviously, if I would have put some primer on, it would be maybe a little vivid, but maybe we'll go for a halo eye, where I'm gonna just pack that gray in. I feel like this is the time of year where I'm gonna be indoors because the weather's getting colder, and I love the idea of playing with eyeshadows. Okay, we're gonna do this duochrome, obviously. Oh, yeah. These colors are always just so beautiful. I mean, yeah, that's a gorgeous color. And I think if you don't have a very big collection, this shade is like one of those shades you will lose your mind over in terms of like loving it. But when you have a lot of shadows already, a lot of singles, a lot of shadows from some specialty brands, this is a pretty common duochrome. It still is gorgeous though. It has that kind of plum blue, bluey shift, and on the eyes It's really pretty. This one is actually quite wearable. Sometimes they can be very chunky and not very wearable. I am actually just picking up some of this shade here and buffing around the edge a little, and I'm using the same brush. I'm not one to change my brush very often. So that's so pretty. I'm gonna try to put some of that really bright silver called Villain Era just along that center to give it a little bit more sheen pop. Oh yeah, I like that. I like doing that. I also like applying a bright silver color or gold or white really close along the lash line, almost like creating a bit of a liner effect. I feel like that's very flattering and a bit dramatic for my eye shape because I do have hooded eyes. So if I look straight at you, you don't see very much of my actual lid. It gets hidden. And so you see just the tiniest sliver. So if I put something really bright there, it's a little special. And then when I kind of angle, you'll see the rest a little bit more. But whoa, I really like that eye look. Let's try to use different shades all together. There are all these kind of shades. This one also has a bit of a flip to it. It's almost like a peach. There are a few shades here. Start off with Younger Self. It's a bit like a dusty peachy color. I'm just gonna put that in the crease. Blends out really well. Like this is a very nice shade. Again, kind of like super easy, not as wild kind of feeling to this. Like when I'm actually playing with these, a lot of these shades feel very universal. So that's really nice. I like that shade. I like finding the versatility in these palettes too. I'm trying to find all the shades that I haven't used yet. This one is Kick Butt. This one is Cold Hearted Messy. So Cold Hearted is like a plum, but it also has a lot of sparkle in it. But the sparkle is very fine and it's not a very creamy shade. It's really like a matte. So I don't think it's gonna show up unless you pack it in really, really tightly. But I'm gonna use it as a shade to kind of build my outer corner and also just deepen the look a bit. This one is pulling kind of like a charcoal purple. Huh. I thought it would be more plummy. I'm doing similar to the other side. I'm kind of gonna do a halo-y look. Maybe compare the depths of both, but I'm gonna leave it a bit open. I'm not gonna close it too much. And I wanna try this color Wild because in some angles it's like peach and another angle it's like fuchsia. Oh, weird. What is this? So it's like a peach pink. Oh, okay. It shows up. It shows up. I was worried because the texture of it seemed pretty. Oh, it's pretty. The texture of it when you touched it seemed pretty thin, and I was expecting it to be a little more metallic, and so I was a little worried would it show up over such a dark color, and it absolutely does. That's pretty. I like this one a lot. So that is the color Wild, just kind of migrating up at an angle. Wow, I like that. I like the other one too. I like them both. If you're into smoky purples, if you're into that, going to blend some of the edges with this one shade that I haven't yet played with, which is almost like a soft taupe. But I feel like that peachiness of that other one kind of like, it went away. It's not there. So I think maybe I have to build a different look with that. On my inner corner, I'm gonna try this shade Baddie. And this one I am gonna use a brush. Oh, okay. It's much more subtle. I'm gonna match it on the other eye, the other side too. On that side, maybe I'm gonna go in with that villain era again because it's, oh yeah, okay. Since that's the color, I kind of dabbed on the center of the eye. I went a little overboard. I want to try another one of the shades. So how about I use Messy, which I have not used yet, on my lower lash line on this side. Oh, that's pretty. And then I think on this side, I'm going to use this Kick Butt shade. Make this solidify its kind of gray vibe. Ooh. This is very, very kind of like smoky, sexy eyes. That is very nice. I have used, did I use every shade? I used every single shade in this palette, in these two looks. And I have to say, I like it a lot. Let's look at it. Kind of this one on its own. What do we think? Which do we prefer? Do we have a preference? I love that pink, the pink and lilac and that kind of flipped shade. It's really, really pretty. Which is more steely and has that duochrome. I love kind of like that wet, grungy, dirty effect. I love this one for that. I like both looks, and I feel like you can definitely create much more subtle looks and just concentrate on one shade or a couple of shades at a time. You don't ever feel like you have to do everything at once. For the most part, I mean, I just wanted to test this out to get familiar with it and just to see and play. But really, on a daily basis, I'm using 1, 2, 3 shades, 3 shades max. And I love palettes that give me that flexibility. Or I'll use 2 shades in the day and I'll take the palette with me and maybe add 2 other shades later on in the day to make it night. But don't ever feel like obligated to like throw everything at it. I think, you know, less is more, obviously, but in this case, more is more. So yeah, I really like this palette. And it performs as well as what I would expect other Colourpop shadows, you know, to perform, and they all perform really well. So yeah, that is the Troublemaker palette. Stay tuned to see the inserts of all the colors swatched in indirect sunlight, and we will catch up later. Take care, everyone.